Okay, I'd like to begin today with some classical poetry. You have my heart, we'll never be worlds apart. Maybe in magazines, but you'll still be my star. Baby, 'cause in the dark, you can't see shiny cars. And that's when you need me there. With you, I'll always share. Now that it's raining more than ever, no, we'll still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella. You can stand under my umbrella. Ella, Ella, A. Under, please. Under my umbrella, Ella, Ella, A. Ella, Ella, A. Okay, why did I do that? I was going to begin with T.S. Eliot, but I thought Rihanna would get your attention a little better. But also the purpose of this talk is to tell you a little about me and share a little wisdom with you. First, about me. I have a unique Italian name. So far, I've been called Mr. Ciambarella, Mr. Cranberry, Mr. Perky Pile. Didn't understand that. But ever since Rihanna came out with this song, students have figured it out to greet me every morning with, "Good morning, Mr. Ciambarella, Ella, A, Mr. Ciambarella." So now you can remember my name is Mr. Ciambarella. And the final reason relates to what I'd like to talk about today, and that's taking notice of the little things around us, things like a song or a class or the people sitting next to you. And really listening to them and really understanding what they're saying. As some of you know, my wife is the Chinese teacher here. I met her when I was in Taiwan. I was there for 8 years at a Buddhist university teaching and doing research. And there's always been one Buddhist teaching that's really stuck out with me. I'd like to share with you today. This Zen Buddhist teaching says that there's 3 stages to enlightenment. First stage, mountains are mountains. Second stage, mountains are not mountains. Third stage, mountains are mountains. Got it? You all enlightened now? Like everything in Zen Buddhism, it's simple, confusing, but actually quite profound. And I'd like to talk a little bit today about what I think this teaching means. First step, mountains are mountains. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, whose football team, the Cincinnati Bengals, though good, have proven not as worthy as the Chicago Bears and Tyree Thomas and Joe Johnson. Sorry, I lost a bet on that one. I grew up in Cincinnati. I went to a Catholic school my whole life, very similar to Lumiere. Faith-based education was really central to my life, partly because I was raised by my grandmother and great aunt who were from Italy, who for them, Catholicism and the teachings of Jesus were really the cornerstone of their life. So I was always surrounded by Catholic faith. And there's one particular episode that's always stood out in my memory. A lot of my classes were taught by priests and nuns. My favorite nun was Sister Gabriel, and she had a contest. The first student who could memorize the prayer of St. Francis would get a giant prize. So I studied day after day, week after week, memorizing the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Darkness, light. Sin, destroy. And I repeated. And I won the prize. I was the first student to memorize the prayer of St. Francis. I got this big gold star. And for my grandmother, that was like the greatest prize that she ever got. But like most of what I was learning at Catholic school, I did it just to memorize it for a grade, to please my family, without really thinking about what I was saying, what I was learning, not really questioning it, and not really thinking about the effect that it might be having on me. And so I went off to college. I thought I went to college for basketball, but the real reason was soon made apparent to me. It was not for basketball, but for scholarship. And it was at this point that scholarship and learning really entered my life. I soon discovered I had a real passion for the study of history, cultures, religions, and I found myself playing less and less basketball and reading more and more books. So much so that I wanted to devote my whole life to reading and teaching history and literature. So I decided to enter a PhD program in history after I graduated college. But before I started my program, I decided to take a year off. And I was tired of just reading about things. I wanted to travel the world and really see them. So I took 1 year and traveled the whole world, visited every continent except Antarctica, and I tried to do a lot of volunteer work every place that I visited. As you can imagine, this was a really life-changing year for me. I just want to talk quickly about one place that really changed me the most. And that was the 3 months I spent in Laos. Laos. Anybody even know where Laos is? I really didn't. It's a small country near Vietnam and Thailand. And I spent 3 months there. My first week there, I was in the capital city, Vientiane. Beautiful city, French colonial city, surrounded by rainforests, lots of animals, trees, flowers. But after the first week, I was sent to where I was going to live for 3 months, a remote village in northern Laos. And I'll never forget my journey from the capital city to this village. I've described it like driving from Hawaii to the moon. As we left the capital city, we slowly stopped seeing rainforest. We stopped seeing trees. We stopped seeing greenery. And pretty soon, for miles and miles, there was nothing. Just brown, barren landscape. Except for every now and then, we'd see these giant craters in the hills. I couldn't imagine how anyone lived here. I mean, there was truly nothing there. After driving like this for a day, we finally got to the village where I would live. It looked like a moon colony in the middle of nowhere, and as we got closer, I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing, until I finally got out of the truck and saw it myself. The entire village was made out of bombshells. I'd never seen anything like this. The houses, the fences, the animal shelters were made of giant brown bombshells. As strange as that was, it was even more strange when I found out why they were there and who put them there. So let me give you quick fun facts about Laos. Laos has a dubious distinction of being the most heavily bombed country in the history of humanity. The United States of America dropped more bombs on Laos than all the bombs dropped in World War II combined. Let me repeat that. The United States of America dropped more bombs on Laos than all the bombs dropped in World War II combined. From 1964 to 1973, the United States dropped more than 2 million tons of bombs on Laos. That equals the one planeload of bomb dropped on Laos every 8 minutes, 24 hours a day, nonstop for 9 years. The United States literally bombed Laos back into the Stone Age. How many of you knew this? I didn't know that, and I was a history major, and I didn't know that. I soon became really kind of depressed when I realized this, that I'm going to have to live in these villages for 3 months, and my people were responsible for this. I became even more depressed when I went to the public health clinics where I was sent to work and realized that most of our patients were little boys and girls whose arms and legs were blown off by unexploded bombshells. To this day in rural Laos, that's one of the #1 killers of children. There's so many unexploded bombs still there that they think they're playing with toys and their arms and legs get blown off. So, kind of depressing, right? I really became really depressed when I realized I'm going to have to live with these people for 3 months. Why would they want to talk to me, right? I'm the enemy, right? Instead, I got the 100% complete opposite reaction. Still to this day, I've never been more warmly welcomed by any people than the people of Laos welcomed me. Every village I went to, I was greeted with such warmth, hospitality, and care. And I soon realized that as desolate as these villages were from the outside, on the inside they were filled with such joy, happiness, laughter, and love. And it was at this point I really started to investigate, how could this be? What is it about these people that makes them so happy and joyful in the midst of such poverty, and so forgiving and loving in the face of such violence? And I soon realized a lot of the answer to that came in their faith, which was Buddhism. And it was at this point where I really started to study Buddhism. And what the people of Laos taught me most about Buddhism was that it's a faith to be lived. That the highest wisdom means nothing without compassion and service. That when you practice forgiveness, love, and compassion in your daily life, the reward is not a reward later, but the reward is right now, that you find yourself feeling very happy and joyful right now. So as I said, this really got me interested in Buddhism, so much so that after my PhD, I went to Taiwan to a Buddhist university and studied there for 8 years. And a funny thing happened to me as I was studying Buddhism in Taiwan. I kept finding the same teachings over and over again. Compassion is the highest form of wisdom. Violence must be met with nonviolence. The greatest virtue is to serve others. And I started to ask myself, where have I heard these Buddhist teachings before? And I realized that what I was being taught at a Buddhist university in Taiwan, I had been taught at a Catholic school in the Midwest. And it was funny, the more I studied Buddhism, the more Catholic I became. So today I consider myself kind of a Buddhist Catholic or a Catholic Buddhist, kind of depending on the mood I'm in. And I think what's so great about a place like Lumiere is that all faiths are respected here, and that by studying other faiths, it can actually strengthen your own. So, in the end, after all my years traveling all over the world, studying different histories, different cultures, I kind of feel like I've finally returned home to the Midwest, to a Catholic school. And I think I'm starting to finally realize that mountains are mountains again. That the foundations of this school, character, scholarship, faith, love, compassion, service, yes, these are truly mountains, foundations to build your life around. But now, I believe it's all up to us to really listen to these, to really understand what they're saying, and to finally put them into practice in our lives. So now I feel I can go back to the prayer of St. Francis and not just memorize it, but really listen. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life.